Hi everybody, today's recipe is a tin can curry. Basically we're all stuck at home and we're all looking to use up some of the tins that we've managed to keep over the years. So I've got here a tin of tomatoes, a tin of chickpeas and a tin of peaches. I've also got some mango chutney. I've got some chopped onions, celery and carrot, and I've got some garlic and ginger. The curry will work absolutely fine with none of this, so you don't need any fresh ingredients at all. I've got them in the fridge, so I'm going to use them. I've got some sunflower oil, I've got some salt, and I've been lucky enough to get some coriander, so we can use that. And the one thing that's missing from the table, which I will go and get in a minute, is curry powder. It wouldn't be much of a curry without spices, so I'll go and get that and bring that to the table. Okay, so here's my curry powder. It's in a Nutella jar because I make my own curry powders, but you can buy them really easily. Just buy a mild or medium curry powder depending on what you like. So this is mine. I've made a Sri Lankan curry powder. It smells lovely. So we're going to get started. I'm going to put some olive oil into the pan. So it's about a tablespoon that goes in, and then I'm just going to add all my fresh vegetables. If you don't have any fresh vegetables, you can go straight on to frying off your curry powder, which is what we'll be doing in a minute, and then adding the tins. And again, if you have anything at all left over in the fridge, so you might have some sweet potato left over, you might have some spring onions, you might have a leek, you can mix and match what you add into the pan. I'm just turning this up a bit, I think. Yes. And I'm just going to fry this off with a pinch of salt. If you add a pinch of salt to your vegetables, it means that it sort of draws out a little bit of the moisture from the vegetables and it stops them burning to the pan. So I'm just going to leave these cooking for a good 10 minutes. You don't want them to go brown because brown onions will make your whole curry taste a little bit sort of acrid and a bit bitter, but we do want them nice and soft and golden. So keep an eye on them, stir them occasionally, but we want a good 10 minutes of these to sweat down. Okay, so this has been cooking away for about probably 8 minutes now, and you can see there's some nice little tinged bits in there, and the onion has changed and it's kind of translucent now, and I can squeeze it easily between my fingers, so I know that it's cooked down, and it creates a really lovely sweet base for the curry. This is going to be quite a sweet curry. So I'm now going to add a good tablespoon of my curry powder, and I'm going to just coat, I'm maybe going to add a little bit more. I know that that's quite a mild curry powder. And I'm just going to coat all my vegetables in this lovely spice mix. Next thing, I'm going to add my tin of tomatoes. So it doesn't matter if you've got a tin of whole tomatoes, they can actually be tastier often than these chopped tomatoes. So whole tomatoes, chopped tomatoes, tomato passata, or you can chop up just some fresh tomatoes and add some water to it. And I'm going to start with 3/4 of a can of water, and it's quite good because it cleans out the can, so you're getting all that lovely tomato mixture in there, and you're also getting some more liquid for your curry. And the next thing I'm going to add is my peaches. Now I just took a knife, these are apricot halves in juice, and I've just drained the juice, and I'll keep the juice so we can put it into a smoothie, or we can just drink it. And then I've just gone in with a knife and I'm just chopping them just roughly with a knife. This curry will cook for a while, so these will just cook down into the sauce, and it will become a really nice sweet base for the sauce. This is a sort of interpretation of a curry that was developed by a chef called Jack Monroe, and she's a wonderful chef, and she's written a book called Tin Can Cooking for it was basically for the food bank. So it was for people who receive food bank parcels, because you get mostly cans in it. It was how to cook a meal with I think when she developed it, she was given a tin of peaches, a tin of chickpeas and a tin of tomatoes, and she was sort of trying to work out how she would create a dinner out of that. So I'm going to put another pinch of salt in now. You can always add flavour as you go along. And I'm going to then add, I'm going to just let that cook down for 20 minutes, and I'm going to check it in 20 minutes time. If it looks like it's drying out too much, add a little bit more water, give it a stir from time to time, just make sure it's not bubbling away too fiercely. Okay, I'll see you in 20 minutes. Okay, so this has been cooking now for 20 minutes, and I'm just mashing it down a little bit with a potato masher. You don't have to do this, but it just means that everything gets blended into a sauce. But if you prefer it chunkier, that's absolutely fine. I'm now going to add my chickpeas. So I've drained my tin of chickpeas. You could add a tin of lentils and make like a dal type curry if you don't have chickpeas. Or you could just add, at this stage, you could add some leftover cooked chicken or some lamb or anything that you've got available. Or equally, you could add some tinned potatoes and a handful of spinach, and you could have a potato and spinach curry. So really, that was just the base to add whatever you want to it. So I've added in my chickpeas. I had to add an extra can of water as it was cooking because it's a wide pan. It does tend to dry out a little bit quicker than if you had a taller pan. So I'm going to now add a tablespoon of my mango chutney in, just to sweeten up the tomatoes a little bit. So I'm going to give that a stir around, and I'm going to leave that for another 10 minutes. So it's really quite low level, this dish. It does take about, I would say about half an hour to 40 minutes to make. But a lot of it is leaving it alone, setting your timer on your phone or wherever and wandering off and doing something else, and then coming back and checking on it. So I'm going to leave it for 10 minutes now, and then we should have a lovely curry. Okay, so this has had another 10 minutes and I would say it's ready now. I've had a taste and I've added a little pinch more salt. Because of the spices in a curry, it tends to need a little bit more seasoning than another dish. Taste it, check it. Generally, a curry or any dish would either need a little bit of salt, a little bit of sweetness, or a bit of acidity. So always, if something tastes a bit flat, a pinch of salt and a squeeze of lemon will usually be enough to lift it. But this tastes great to me. Haven't got any rice, haven't managed to get any rice from the supermarket, so we're just going to have ours on toast. So I've got a lovely piece of toasted bread here that I'm going to put at the side of my plate. And I'm going to drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil. Okay, and then I'm going to have a nice couple of spoons of curry, a bit of yogurt on top, and a sprinkling of coriander. There we go. So that's our finished tin can curry. Remember, there's always substitutions you can make. If you don't have chickpeas, you can add lentils, you could add chicken, you could add potatoes, anything that you've got lying around that's going to give it a bit of substance. If you haven't got onions, you can leave them out, or you can add spring onions or leeks. If you don't have celery, fine, leave it out. And if you don't have carrots, if you've got any other root vegetable that you could grate into it, again, it'll add a nice sweet base. But if you don't have them, leave them out. The only things you really do need is a tin of tomatoes, a tin of apricots, and something to give it a bit of body. I've used chickpeas. I hope you really enjoy this recipe.